Welcome to the Fellowship. My name is Adam Hawk, and sitting across from me is my co-host Ryan Engle, and in front of us is the monumental task of breaking down the 106th PGA Championship. This particular edition has more storylines and angles than the internet had super lame and predictable Scotty Scheffler jokes after his Friday morning arrest. Fair warning up front, we are deficient in many areas. Are we not?
Some would say.
But self-awareness is not one of them, and we know a lot of people listen for the B-side banter and the horse hockey and the jaw-jacking. We'll get to some of that later in the episode, maybe, depending on how long we go on the PGA Championship. But every once in a while, the world of professional golf forces your hand and drives the conversation. And after this past week, we don't really have a choice. The PGA Championship was absolutely stone cold drunk on content. And I'm not going to lie, this is one of the most challenging episodes of the podcast because there are so many stones to turn over. And I think the best way to do it is in order of importance. So, as they say in the newspaper business, let's not bury the lead. Xander Schauffele is your winner of the PGA Championship, 21 under par. What a ridiculous score. 21 under par gets it done. But more importantly, Xander Schauffele gets it done. This is a guy who has carried around the double-edged sword of being the best player to never win a major, and he's carried it around for a long time now. Now, why is that a double-edged sword? Well, on the one hand, you're held in an extremely high regard for being a great golfer who is capable of reeling in the trophy fish. But on the other hand, you've never pulled that sucker out of the ocean and onto the boat. And this guy has had his line snap a number of times. We saw Ricky Fowler hold on to that moniker as the best to never win a major for a long time. Unfortunately for Ricky Fowler, he didn't shed that skin because he finally busted through the door. He shed that skin because he's no longer the best player to never win. In fact, he might not even be in the current discussion anymore.
Yeah, I think he's on that ride off into the sunset of his career. I'm not saying he's cooked or he's done, but he's had his struggles. He kind of fought back a little bit in recent years to become relevant again. But can you pick him over Tony Finau right now as the next non-major winner to win? I don't think you can. He missed that flight.
He did. And Xander had been that guy for a long time. But now Xander bagged a major, and you've got dudes like Patrick Cantlay and Victor Hovland and Sahith Theegala and Tony Finau and Tommy Fleetwood and Max Homa and Will Zalatoris, who are all better than Ricky Fowler is now and who are a lot closer to winning one of the big four than Ricky Fowler is. But this isn't about Ricky. This is about Xander. I only bring up Ricky to illustrate the point that being the best to never win one does not guarantee that it will happen. And sometimes that pressure outlives your window to get it done. And that's exactly what you just said, Ryan. He's kind of sailing off into the sunset, or in your words, he missed that flight. And I'll be the first to admit that I was firmly inside the camp of believing that Xander was the next Ricky Fowler, but he proved me wrong, and he proved a lot of other people wrong. So I want to give credit to Xander for serving me a piping hot dish of extra dry crow sandwich with no sauce on the side. And now I have to chew on that for the rest of my life as a hot take artist. But I do also want to say that Xander needed every star in the Milky Way galaxy to line up for him, and they did.
Fun little story I'd like to share, and I think you'll enjoy this, Hawk. When you had your asterisk of a hole-in-one recently at the pitch and putt off of a mat in Los Angeles, good friend of ours, Mr. Joe Etter, the Jet, the man who can loop it like no one else, he hit me up after the episode where we just torched you for it. That was all fun and games. We're not going to go relive all that. But he said something that just was such a great take, and it just struck such a chord with me. And you know me, I love poking fun, and people think I'm a hater, I'm a shit talker, but I just like dogging. I think it's funny. And when someone gives me one where I'm like, ooh, God, that's so good, I just really can appreciate that. And Jetter hit me up personally on my cellular telephone device in text, and he said, if that's not such an Adam Hawk hole-in-one, and if you can take that to what just happened this weekend, if this wasn't a Xander major to win, then I don't know what was. I know I'm lumping you into this, but it is somewhat diet, somewhat budget. There's some chinks in its armor. Don't get me wrong, folks. Before we go any further, I don't want to hate on the guy. I'm sure Xander's a good dude. He's obviously a great player, and huge congrats to him. I know his team is relishing in this. Everyone else has already forgot about it this morning, but they're stoked, so good for them. I want to give him his flowers. It's just unfortunate that this isn't some custom bouquet that you had some artisan florist make for you. These are the prepackaged ones in the 15 item or less line with the price tag on them. It is what it is. It's not his fault that the course was like sim golf and no one made a bogey. Every time someone got in jail, it just looked like the easiest up and down on earth. It was just a freaking shootout. Slapdick pars with slapdick birdies. It takes away, and it sucks for him because he got it done. He won wire to wire. He made all the shots, but it just was not fun to watch.
Well, even the, quote, wire-to-wire victory has a little bit of an asterisk on it. He and Colin Morikawa shared the lead after Saturday, so it technically wasn't wire-to-wire. Let's talk about the stars that lined up for Xander to win this major, a major that you have accurately dubbed such a Xander major to win. Let's start with the golf course, Valhalla, or as I call it, Vanilla Halla. This golf course, as beautiful as it might be, and it is beautiful, has no business hosting a major championship. And after this week, I'd bet the house they will never sniff one ever again. What we saw Thursday through Sunday was a golf course that laid down and died for the world's best players. And maybe that's giving it too much credit because laying down and dying implies that it was even alive in the first place. There was zero resistance, zero test, and zero consequence for any golf shot hit by any player all week. Don't believe me? When is the last time you saw two players tie the decades-old record for the lowest score in a major? Because that happened when Xander fired a 62 on Thursday, and Shane Lowry did it 48 hours later on Saturday. And these two guys weren't exactly running away from the field with those 62s. There were 19 rounds of 65 or better throughout the week. 19 rounds of 65 or better in a major. So these dudes were dismantling the place, and they were picking it apart at whatever seams it had. I saw a lot of Scotty Scheffler jokes over the weekend, but the only one worth repeating was a tweet that said, quote, "If you get arrested and thrown in jail and then go out and shoot 66 the same morning, maybe the golf course is too easy."
I see this take all the time on the World Wide Web, and it's just, what, you think birdies are boring? Yeah, they are. Some birdies are exciting, but you know what's more exciting as a fan to watch is consequence. Struggling to make par, to stay in it, to have a good bogey, to save the big blow-up score, and then have to put the pedal down to get that stroke back. That's exciting golf. That's exciting major golf. 18, that's the finishing hole. This major, which I like to call Diet, was decided on 18. No one can argue that. The three guys who had a shot to win on 18, they all played fucking hockey on that hole from tee to green, and all had 8-foot putts for birdie to win.
Yep.
Two of them made it, but the point is they all slapped it off the tee, hockeyed it up there somewhere, chicken winged it on the fucking green, and had birdie putts. What a joke for a finishing hole.
No doubt.
It was the easiest hole out there.
Yep.
Zonder pulled his putt on 18 and it goes in. No break in the fucking putt.
Right.
That just says it all about the course. And you take Augusta. Yeah, those guys went low there too. But you miss a green there and even a great shot in there. You have a knee knocker, slider, fast, 6-footer for par. I mean, that's what separates the men from the boys. Whereas here, it didn't even look like from watching on TV that one person made a goddamn bogey on Sunday.
Well, Xander Schauffele made 2 bogeys and 1 double
all week.
Bryson DeChambeau made 3 bogeys all week. Victor Hovland, Colin Morikawa, Thomas Dietrich, 5 bogeys each all week. Vanilla Halla was so utterly devoid of anything that resembled a major championship golf course that you have to wonder why they played it there at all. If you're going to have fairways a mile wide, surely it puts a premium on positioning your tee shot for the ideal angle into the green. Nope, not at Valhalla. Anything anywhere plays just fine. The whole golf course is position A. If you're going to have water everywhere, surely it forces some decision-making and shot shaping. Nope, not at Valhalla, where the water is just there for the postcard picture because it never comes into play. If you are going to have massive greens, surely there are levels and tiers and false fronts to demand precision iron play. Nope, not at Valhalla, where every green is flatter than the earth Ryan Engle believes we live on, and 50-foot lag putts are somehow a decent chance at making birdie. The grown-out rough was a joke, the Zoysia played like teed-up AstroTurf, and this joke of a venue ends with a short par 5. What we saw was video game golf. Bomb it to any place in the fairway, hit a short iron at the stick, whap in an 8-footer, and keep it moving. So Xander didn't pass any kind of major championship caliber test. He ripped apart a soaking wet easy track with no wind and no consequences for missing a shot. Of course, I am aware that everyone else played the same golf course. So yes, it's relative. And yes, he played it better than everyone else this week. And yes, it's a major championship that no one can take away from him. But I am telling you right now, I am so much more impressed with someone winning the Players' Championship than winning anything at Valhalla. TPC Sawgrass, as gimmicky as it might be, absolutely demands perfection on 16, 17, and 18 when the tournament is on the line. All Valhalla demands on 16, 17, and 18 is that you're standing upright with a pulse. Have you ever seen a golf tournament where someone absolutely has to have birdie to win, like Xander did on 18 to beat Bryson, and you were already giving it to them as soon as they hold out on 17? That's Valhalla. The final hole is a gimme birdie.
There was no jail on the course. I don't think Bryson made bogey out of a bunker all week. He was like 5 for 5 up and down from the bunkers. It just was so easy to score even when you missed around there. That's just not major championship golf. The difference we're talking about here is you look at U.S. Opens, British Opens, Augusta. You ain't flying it to the flag there. That's where the artistry, the creativity, the control, the golf comes out. Because you got to know where to leave it, where to land it, how hard to trickle it up. Bryson was out of position, hit it in the woods, it kicked out, he got a member's bounce, and he flagged it from over 200 yards to like 2 feet. It was a great shot, not taken away from him. And again, everyone who's been like, oh, you guys are such haters, that is such a beta male take to say that opinions and facts are hate. I don't hate any of those guys. I don't give a shit. We're just talking about this, and this tournament and course setup was fucking budget. And anyone who doesn't think it was, just turn on MTV and go watch a music video, because the adults are trying to watch golf.
Or turn on the home run derby, because all you want to see are balls flying over the fence.
It's silly, and we say this all the time. This is what pro golf has become. It's a shame. For years, all these records have stood up because it was more of a driver's race, and it really showcased who the real show ponies were. And now you got Dick, John, and Terry shooting 62s every week and just beating record after record because the goddamn equipment's too easy and the courses are set up too perfect. And it's a shame.
This is a really long way of saying that Xander Schauffele benefited immensely from the golf course setup. Credit for establishing and maintaining a lead, but no credit for being the faster skier to get down a mountain with no obstacles. The other stars that lined up for him were the stars that were chasing him. Yes, it was a brand name bunched up leaderboard. But let's be real here, folks. Colin Morikawa, despite being a 2-time major winner, is not a killer. Not even close. This guy is known for bringing a pillow to a gunfight. This dude played the final 36 holes in the final group over the weekend and shot 4 under. 4 under over 36 holes at Valhalla is giving strokes back to the field. That's how easy Valhalla was, and that's how bad Colin Morikawa played.
Yeah. People call that a fade, what he hits off the tee. That is a fucking slice.
Right.
That ball's going sideways on re-entry.
Yeah.
I don't care what anyone says. Great player. Sure, he's a nice guy. Again, I'm not hating on anyone. I'm telling you what I'm seeing. I've been watching this for a long time. I know what this game is all about. That's a fucking slice.
Same with Wyndham Clark. We'll get there later.
Yeah.
Firing an even par round on Sunday in the final group of a major is all you need to know about how Colin Morikawa deals with pressure. Also, I'm not the first person to point this out. Credit to Dottie Pepper, who had the stones to say it during the Masters broadcast last month about Colin Morikawa as he melted in the final round at Augusta. She pointed out that both this guy's majors came during COVID when there were no fans on the property. And there's something to that because when it gets loud and crazy and the volume is turned up to 11, this guy seems to turn down to 0.
Yeah, adrenaline's a real deal. And some guys thrive off it and some guys shy from it. And I think clearly he has an issue in that. I mean, he was a shell of himself out there.
And then you have Bryson chasing. And yeah, Bryson has won a U.S. Open, and he nearly clipped Xander this week. But he's not someone you feel you have to beat, and he's not someone you ever feel is going to beat you. And that exact same sentiment can be applied to Viktor Hovland, who's never won a major and has been a shell of himself ever since August of last year. And yeah, he appeared to have figured something out this week. But both Bryson and Vic, great players who personally I root for. But you don't wake up thinking, I got to go beat those guys today. Or, hey, those guys are going to come and beat me. You just don't feel that way about those guys. And as much as I love Sahith Theegala, and believe me, I love me some Sahith, this guy needs even more to go his way than Xander does.
Look, Xander had one putt to win this tournament, and he made it. And they zoomed in because these guys all take 17 hours to line up their putt, and they have the line on there. It has to be perfect. When they zoom in on their putt, you can see if it goes offline and if they pull it. And he definitely heel pulled that thing, and it rattled its way in there. Good for him. He made it. Because if he missed that putt and they go to the 3-hole playoff, Bryson was on fire. And Bryson would have embarrassed Xander's career. So good for him for making that putt because he had one putt to win, and he wasn't going to get another one because Bryson was over there on the range doing fucking burpees, flexing, watching the Jumbotron. I was ready for him to just hulk up and just rip his fucking shirt like Terry the Hulk Hogan.
So, brand names on a bunched up leaderboard, but none of them are killers. In fact, there are only 2 real killers in the entire game of professional golf, and neither one of them had a chance on Sunday. Scottie Scheffler and Brooks Koepka. Those are the only 2 guys that anyone can honestly say are dudes that you have to beat. And Xander didn't have to deal with them this week. Easy golf course, weak pursuers, and no Scottie or Brooks to fight off. Those are the stars that aligned for Xander. Now, before we move off of Xander and into the other storylines, I want to make it crystal clear that even when the stars do align, and even when it is your time, you still have to go out and execute. And he did. He executed better than anyone.
He played unbelievable golf.
Yes.
And he deserves it. It's not his fault that it is what it is. Golf is fucking hard.
Mm-hmm.
And he is a major champion. And whether he's a one-hit wonder or not, whether this is truly the monkey off his back, time will tell. It'll be fun to watch now. He's in a class, in a league, in a territory that not many golfers get to. If I'm being honest, I just can't help but feel a little bad that it's this one.
It's like my hole-in-one.
That's what I'm saying.
Yep.
And it's like, I know it sounds like I'm being a hater and whatever. I don't hate the guy. I don't give a shit. That's not going to be a very well-remembered major championship.
It will be well-remembered for everything
other than him winning.
Exactly.
It just proves our point even further. The PGA really needs to go to the drawing board. They've always been the ugly cousin of the 4 majors, and man, they've got a lot of making up to do now. They just proved everyone's point that they are the weak link in these 4 big events, and it's kind of silly at this point.
The next topic has to be Scottie Scheffler's week, which simultaneously occupied a slice of heaven and the 7th layer of hell. And right now, let me apologize on behalf of the sports world to Nelly Korda, who just won her 6th event in 7 starts and is on the most unprecedented and historic run in golf, because it's getting completely overshadowed by a really bizarre men's major, and there's nothing anyone can do about that. Apologies to Nelly. Scotty Scheffler just had the most turbulent 7 days in the history of golf. On Saturday, he becomes a brand new dad just hours before jumping on a flight to get to Kentucky. We can only imagine how much his head was spinning, how much his priorities had shifted, how distracted he was, and how tired he might have been. Still, he shows up to the yard, does his prep, opens on Thursday with a hole-out eagle on the second shot of the tournament. And at that point, the Roman Catholic Church was breaking out the stained glass at the Vatican to make him a saint, because clearly this dude is not of this world.
Yeah, get the robe out.
Scotty would then go on to fire a 67 and become the live betting favorite to win the tournament despite being 5 shots back of Xander after round 1. Think about that. Xander goes out and fires a 62. He's 9 under. Scotty comes in at 4, 5 shots back, and the entire world makes him the betting favorite at the book, thinking that he's going to win this thing. 12 hours later, the unthinkable happened. Scotty Scheffler, on his way to play Valhalla Friday morning, was removed from his vehicle, put in handcuffs, and driven to jail. Everyone knows the story by now, but a very, very quick synopsis reads like this. At around 5 a.m. local time, a man named John Mills, who was working at the PGA Championship, was hit and killed by a passenger shuttle bus. This is a serious tragedy, and we'll touch on it a little bit more coming up. But the fatality brought a ton of local police presence, first responders, and investigators, all of which caused a major traffic delay getting into the golf club. Scotty Scheffler, who was driving himself to the venue, apparently vacated the blocked lane of traffic that he was in to drive down another lane into the club to start his morning routine. It's very important to note that Scotty was totally unaware of the cause of the traffic jam and never drove through an active investigation scene to get to the golf course. And he later said that he was instructed to get into the other lane to get to the club. Regardless, there was a major breakdown in communications, and allegedly a local police officer attached himself to Scotty's vehicle and was dragged 20 to 30 feet before Scheffler stopped his car. According to the police report, this constitutes a second-degree felony charge of assaulting an officer, and it was one of 4 charges on the police report that resulted in Scotty being handcuffed and sent to jail, where he sat in a cell for 3 hours. Now, it didn't take long for firsthand video of his arrest and his mugshot to be posted all over the internet, and it took even less time for the internet to do what the internet does best, and that's race full speed ahead to get to the same predictable and cringy popsicle stick jokes. More on that later. But while Scotty was in jail and while investigators were dealing with a fatal pedestrian accident, the PGA of America delayed everyone's tee time, and this gave Scotty enough time to get his release, make it to the golf course, and play in a major just hours after being arrested and charged with second-degree assault of a police officer. This situation is impossible to fathom. Number 1 golfer in the world becomes a dad, shoots 67, gets arrested, and makes his tee time for the second round of a major that he's the favorite to win, and then goes out and plays better than he did the day before, shoots a 65, and gets within 3 shots of the lead. And that was before he sat down and did 22 minutes with the media, where he detailed his morning, talking about his arrest, his time in jail, and it should be noted that Scotty opened up his presser, giving his condolences to John Mills's family. But the week gets even stranger, because Saturday would actually prove to be his toughest test yet, and a test that not even he could pass. Ted Scott, his longtime caddy, who has been there for every big win and who is arguably the most important person to Scotty's entire ascension and mantra, was scheduled to leave Valhalla to attend his daughter's graduation, which he did, because Scotty and Ted believe that family comes first. So in a world where caddies miss their own anniversaries and their own kids' sporting events and birthdays and their own siblings' weddings, Scotty is all about Ted leaving during a major championship to be with his daughter. That's the kind of relationship and work culture the two of them have. And considering Scotty had just been arrested and was 3 shots off the lead, and it's moving day at a major that he's favored to win, the fact he was still cool with Ted Scott leaving tells you everything you need to know about this guy. There's 10 million reasons to stay, but they agreed the one reason to leave trumped them all, and that is family. But the wheels came off, and for the first time all year, Scotty looked human. And on Saturday, as the arrest and the charges and the severity of the situation finally sunk in, and he was alone out there, away from his wife and brand new child, and Ted Scott wasn't on the bag, and he was facing arraignment on Tuesday, delaying his chance to get back to his own family, Scotty made a mess of it. First round all year over par, sloppy bogeys and double bogeys, and a man that looked like he had been to hell and back all by himself. The fact this guy threatened to win the thing after 36 holes, an arrest, and being a brand new dad away from his family was incredible, almost as incredible as coming back on Sunday and shooting a 65 just for the hell of it and backdooring a T8 at a major. Think about this for a second. You throw 2 weeks off, fatherhood, no sleep, travel, a traumatic arrest, losing his caddy on moving day, and shooting a 73 at Scotty Scheffler, and he's still only 8 shots worse than Xander Schauffele playing his absolute best golf and setting major records. In other words, the most difficult circumstances from every angle, all happening at once over the course of 7 days, is still right there against a guy who played the best 4 rounds of his life. That is the most impressive T8 in the history of golf.
Man, the PGA of America, the event coordinators, everyone in charge, they fumbled this bag so hard. They have a deceased person on their watch and the number 1 player in the world in jail over a logistical nightmare and lack of communications at the event they're running. They changed the course of golf history. We don't know if Scotty's going to continue this brilliance, and the PGA literally just stole Scotty Scheffler's chances at continuing his chance at the Grand Slam. We don't know if he's going to get this much momentum and this kind of chance and this much of an advantage on the field ever again. They took that away from us because they are so bad at this. Tough pill to swallow. Had he won this week, even though it was a diet major, I'm liking his chances in the next 2.
It's going to get lost in the myriad of things that happened this week, but John Mills dying is extremely sad and tragic, and I'm not looking to blame anyone for a situation that I don't know enough about, especially one where I'm 3,000 miles away, but I've heard so many things about just how bad the event organizers are with logistics and communications. And on Friday morning, you have a fatal pedestrian accident involving a vendor who was working at the event, an arrest involving the number 1 player in the world, and Will Zalatoris and Cam Young walking for 2 hours to get into the venue. And again, this all happened on the same morning. Just a logistics and communications breakdown at the highest level. If a shuttle bus is hitting and killing a volunteer, it means that the walkways were not safe for the pedestrians and the traffic wasn't being directed correctly. If a player is getting arrested after he said he was following instructions, there's a miscommunication with extreme consequences. And if 2 superstars are walking for 2 hours to get from the traffic jam to the venue, then your logistics are jacked up. And this comes alongside reports that there wasn't enough water or bathrooms on the grounds for all of the patrons that they let in. This kind of stuff isn't just embarrassing, it changed people's lives. Someone is dead and another person was thrown in jail with felony charges. And all of it seems very, very preventable. How does this happen at marquee events with professional companies running the show? And given that someone died and another person was thrown in jail with felony charges, how tasteless was the internet's reaction to all of it?
I've just had enough. This shit is garbage. And you know what? A lot of our close friends and customers and supporters who are listening, but I was seeing it from all you guys too. And you know what, guys? We're better than that. We don't need to fucking repost some mugshot and some lowbrow joke. The fact, and Tony Bacardi over the weekend put it best, the fact that we saw the entire golf world run to this low-hanging fruit of a quote-unquote joke rather than anyone report about the reason why this joke happened and another man lost his life over a silly golf tournament and the logistics of getting in there. The fact that that wasn't the headline of the whole thing and there wasn't a community moment of silence says everything you need to know about the golf world these days. The industry, the projections, the entertainment of it, the focus of it, what's important to it. It's a goddamn dumpster fire. Just trash industry, trash media, trash meme accounts. It's no wonder that the most popular tour stop in this entire ensemble of events is the Waste Management Open. Everything is quantity over quality.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And I know it sounds like, oh my gosh, what is wrong with you guys? Do you not have a sense of humor? Can you not laugh at Scotty Scheffler in a jumpsuit? Can you not laugh at a pair of $80 police uniform pants getting ruined beyond repair and that somehow winding up in a police report?
It would have been funny if a guy didn't die. But
Right.
the fact that a guy died for that joke and no one fucking mentioned it,
Yep.
shame on you.
Well, there's that. And then there's also this, guys. Scotty Scheffler admitted in his press conference after the fact that it took him 3 hours for his heart rate to get back to normal. This dude's scared out of his mind. He was thrown against his car, handcuffed, and put in jail. And then he's got to come out to the golf course and see people wearing his mugshot on T-shirts. And if you turn on the internet, everyone is selling those T-shirts. You're so unoriginal and so uncreative, but you have to be so fast to get to the joke that you can't even tell a good one. All you could come up with was free Scotty. I got news for you. He's free. He's on your TV. He's playing golf. He's a free man.
Yeah.
So that doesn't even make sense.
I saw like the ex-con jokes,
Right.
and you're like, you know that stands for convicted. Your joke is so fucking bad, you don't even know it.
Right.
You're so deep down in your own bullshit. You have such an appetite for this type of comedy in this trash meme environment that you can't even have the wherewithal to step outside of your own little shitty box and see how dumb the joke is, how wrong it is, how unfunny it all is. Am I the only one seeing how bad this all looks? You all screenshot each other's shit. It's literally the same post. Are you guys all texting each other on the back end and being like, let's get it on all of our channels? Is engagement that important? Here's the thing. You want it to get better? You want it to change? Stop following them. Stop liking it. Stop commenting. Stop engaging.
How many times can someone tell a cart girl joke before you're like, I've had enough of that? How many times does someone have to post Scotty Scheffler's mugshot with the hashtag Free Scotty before you're like, yeah, I've seen enough of that? How many times do you have to see someone destroying a green with their putter because they missed a putt and they're in shorts and an untucked shirt and their hats are on backwards and they're disgracing the place before you go, I've seen enough of that? How many times does a meme account have to show some guy absolutely wasted at the Waste Management Open before you go, yeah, I've seen enough of that? It's all the same all the time. And the most offensive part of it all is that some of you out there who think you know us and you listen to what we say and you support us, which we really appreciate, have we not been crystal clear about what we're into and what we're not? Stop DMing us memes.
Please.
We don't fucking care. Beyond not caring, we hate memes. We hate memes. They suck. It's the easiest, most low intelligent, unoriginal way to tell a joke.
It's a bad cartoon section of a bad newspaper.
Right. And what you're essentially saying if you make memes is, I can't possibly write a second sentence to this joke. I've exhausted all of my creativity with 8 words. That's it.
Come on, guys. We're all better than this. Go outside. Take a fucking deep breath. Go hit the ball. Go buy a round of drinks. Go share a story.
Let's do our winners and losers from
Let's
the
do
PGA
it.
Championship.
Let's do it. There was a lot of losers.
We'll take your winners first.
Winner is Zonder. Clearly. The monkey's off the back. He did it. He went out there, and it's all about getting your ball in the hole in the least amount of strokes possible. And he is the champion, and he deserves it. And he clearly is the biggest winner of the week.
I'll give you a winner, and we'll just volley this thing
Let's do
back
it.
and forth. My biggest winner of the week is Nike.
Nike?
It has become crystal clear to me that Tiger Woods is a shell of himself, and he's actually at a stage in his career where he is doing real damage to his legacy, given how far apart his mentality towards winning is and his actual ability to win. Watching him right now is a combination of sad and painful, and if you're Nike and you just freed up the tens of millions of dollars that you were paying Tiger annually, and he's making that seem like a better and better business decision every day. And every highlight we'll see from him for the rest of the time
will be Nike.
Will be him wearing the swoosh. I mean, come on, what a win for Nike. It also doesn't hurt that Scotty Scheffler and Brooks Koepka are Nike guys and that the Sunday Red clothing line is getting universally crushed every time it shows up in front of people. Nike is my biggest winner this week.
That's a good one. I'd say my second biggest winner is Bryson DeChambeau.
Did you call him DeChambeau?
That's what I call him. Look, he's a blowhard, but he used to blow hard in the wrong way, and he rubbed people the wrong way, and he came off as kind of an ass. I think that's generally agreed upon.
The only thing I'll disagree with you on that is he didn't come off as kind of an ass.
Okay. But you're looking across from this little orange table here, Hawk. You're looking at a big Bryson DeChambeau guy.
Got news for you. You're also looking at a big Bryson DeChambeau guy.
The guy has quietly and subconsciously been doing the right thing and winning me over without me even realizing it. And then watching him show up without him fist pumping and hitting his big shots and talking to his ball in the air and making it interesting, that tournament would have been lost. It would have been a public library. He plays his own game. He's his own man. He's improved. His demeanor, his way with the fans is great. He's not this bulked up weirdo who's just jumping in the comments and acting just out of touch. All of a sudden, you're like, man, he was the most exciting player to watch this whole tournament.
All of his weirdness and quirkiness that used to work against him is now working for him.
I totally agree.
It's the craziest 180 I've ever seen. Big winner this week. Everyone on the correct side of rolling the ball back in that argument. This week proved just how critically urgent it is that the golf ball and the clubs, for that matter, get rolled back. This isn't a game anyone is interested in watching anymore. It's ridiculous. This isn't golf. Watching guys play 3 clubs in their bag, driver, lob wedge, putter, is not fun. And seeing the same record fall twice in 48 hours is just so fake. And realizing that golf courses across the world do not stand a chance at challenging the best players in the world is a sad reality. There is still time for all of you equipment manufacturer bootlickers to cross the picket line to the correct side of the argument, because it was a big week for us. It was a big week for guys like us who stood on the side of the USGA and said, not only do we like the ball rollback, it doesn't go far enough, and you're not doing it soon enough. Let's get your third winner.
Third winner, and by a long shot, is the PGA of America.
What? The PGA of America.
Big winner this week, Hawk. What is the true barometer of greatness? Consistency. And this organization, instead of having people try to earn their way in, they bring in a bunch of teaching pros to battle it out for a major championship. Put those folded polos away. Put down your video camera. You're not giving lessons this week. You're coming out to play for a major. Anyways, they have proven after this week, after having a logistical nightmare, having a deceased volunteer, your number one player in the world getting arrested and charged with assaulting a police officer, which is a fucking joke, and then having your CEO pick him up from the police station to drive him back. Nothing says I fucked up more than the head honcho picking you up from the police station. They have consistently proved year after year, time after time, event after event, PGA Championship after PGA Championship, of being the worst of the 4 majors by a landslide. They have won the title forever in golf history as the most budget major championship you could have. And that sucks because Tiger's got a couple of them. A lot of greats have a couple of them, but they're not worth as much. It's like the dollar's a little down there. So they're my big winner of the week for being a consistent failure of a golf tournament.
Wow, well done. Way to spin that one. Didn't know where you're going. I love a good mislead. I do not love you shortchanging Tiger Woods. He has 3.
Yeah.
A couple means 2.
Well, 3. So
he might have 4.
I don't even know.
He has 4.
Doesn't matter.
You know what he has? He has a couple.
So maybe I was right since they count for about half.
Oh.
He does have 2.
By the way, Steve Elkington, if you're listening, your 1995 PGA Championship at Riv stands above any green jacket that's ever been given out.
Let's put it out there because it needs to be said. A Riviera PGA is a little different.
Oh, sure.
And by a little, I mean a lot.
Okay, I have 2 winners left, but I only want to do one of them since you only did 3. I'll let you pick. Do you want me to award Wyndham Clark haters as the big winner this week or the mute button as the big winner this week?
I don't know, but I want to give some flowers before you go.
Okay.
Someone got in Colton Ost's ear after the Masters. He was the most annoying broadcaster in Masters history this year. And I got to give it to him. He did a pretty good job yesterday. You'll love to hear it.
Wow. Okay. Well, since you did something on the broadcasters, I'll do Wyndham Clark haters. Big winners this week. If you hate Wyndham Clark, you won big this week. Wyndham Clark, who has an unbelievably easy story to root for, is somehow an unbelievably hard guy to root for. This dude is the living embodiment of Icarus. He's flown too close to the sun, his wings have burned off, and he's free falling back down to earth. This guy runs his mouth a lot. His caddy is way too involved in his game, especially on the putting green. And his mental coach being some sort of cure-all is one of the most tired storylines ever. And now he's missed the cut in the last 2 majors. And I'm telling you, this guy is fighting off some bad karma for his caddy addressing the ball with a club in his hand on the putting green. We've all seen enough of it. And guess what, Wyndham? God has too. This is a sign from above, Wyndham. Knock that shit off.
How is that legal? Let's get into the losers.
All right, who's your first loser this week?
The number 1 loser for me for the week is Valhalla Country Club.
Does it even need to be said?
Just wasn't it. Greens are way too soft. I think they could have got away with it with some firmer greens, and I get it. Weather dictates a lot of things, but you got to figure it out. Get out there with your blowers, figure it out. You had a whole year to prepare, and I know it's PGA's fault too. This just falls on them, but look, they were the venue. They closed the place to the members for how long?
They closed the course in October of 2023. It has not been walked on by any non-professional in 7 months.
And that's what we got. Now, I'm going to steal the show here and go right into my number 2 loser of the week. Just hang with me because they're tied. They're tied together, and it has to be said before I lose my train of thought. I'm mentally challenged, so give me something here, okay, Hawk? Number 2, Valhalla membership. They gave up their course for 7 months.
Yeah.
Didn't get to play.
Right.
The big boys finally come to town. It's a huge feather in a membership's cap. There's pride of ownership. You want it to show out and show off and show up. And it didn't. But for it to be that easy really takes away from their whole charm of that membership and their pride. To not be able to play it for 7 months and then have it just look like a fucking simulator. Man, if you're the president of that membership, are you waking up pretty excited this morning? No, you're not. That's a tough look for the kids.
It is. And if you go 7 months without having access to your golf club in Kentucky, I mean, that really, really shrinks your options on what you can do out there. And I'm trying to think about people's favorite things to do in Kentucky. Marry their cousin and have sex with waitresses for 7 seconds in Italian restaurants like Rick Pitino. There's just not a lot going on. I guess you can go eat Papa John's, take in a Louisville Cardinal game, but there is not a lot to do out in Kentucky. My biggest loser of this week, Jon Rahm. It's really early in his LIV tenure, but so far he hasn't moved the needle one bit for LIV television ratings. He hasn't stopped talking about how much he loves and misses the PGA Tour, and he's been terrible at the majors, especially this week where he missed the cut. Moving to LIV for Jon Rahm was like moving to the moon, out of sight, out of mind. And to all the Jon Rahm fans out there who still can't give me one reason why they like this guy.
He has fans.
Great call. Maybe they can't give me a reason because there aren't any Jon Rahm fans. Because I asked a while ago, who likes this guy and why? And I haven't heard from anybody. So maybe you're right. You know what? You are right.
I don't think he has fans.
He doesn't have fans.
I don't think there's anybody going to bat for Jon Rahm.
I hope not. I hope not anymore. Because if there are, I'd love to know how did you like that double-handed club throw this week? Pretty cool watching a grown man tomahawk his club down the fairway at a major championship on a pristine golf course that they shut down for 7 months so John Rahm could walk down it and play golf for a living. Hey, John, save some of that energy for the Friday Trunk Slam.
I will say this. I did like how far he pulled the backswing back on that club toss. A lot further than he takes the real club back in his swing.
You're right.
Yeah, so it was nice to see him finally commit to something.
I do really like how I'm asking John Rahm fans to give me one reason why they like him, and your take is there just aren't any fans. That's why you're not hearing from him.
There's not.
Because
no one likes that guy.
No one.
No one likes a grown man with a fucking poopy diaper.
You're right. You're right.
Come on.
All right, your third and final loser.
Golf meme culture.
Yep.
Go away. There's one way to get rid of it, guys. Stop absorbing this content. Stop engaging. Look away. Unfollow it. You're not entertained. You're just programmed to have to like it.
It's like the city of Los Angeles in the NFL. Everyone thinks they have to tell the other people in their life that they like those two things.
Yeah.
No one actually likes LA. No one actually likes the NFL. But you feel like when you get around the water cooler, or you get on social media, you have to be like, well, everyone else likes this, so I have to like it too. And what do you have? Millions of people pretending to like things that they don't actually like. No one likes the NFL. No one likes Los Angeles. No one likes memes.
If you really loved golf,
sure.
If you actually loved the game of golf, not the industry, not the pro tournaments, not the infomercials, not the golf shops, not the marketing of the brands. I'm talking about the game. I'm talking about pegging it with your boys, teeing off, taking turns, having your vices while following the rules, towing that line, spending the time outdoors, doing it. Hitting the shots, watching the ball go in. I'm talking about the game of golf. If you really loved the game of golf, you would hate golf meme culture. And the reason why you don't is because you don't really love golf. What you really love is following along with what everyone else seemingly likes. You're afraid to speak up and be your own person, and you just go along with it because it's what everyone else is doing. So why not watch the NFL on Sundays and like every meme that floods your feed, even though you've liked 7 of the same photos because 7 of those accounts reposted the same fucking thing.
Take the rest of the show off. I don't know how you're going to improve upon that the rest of the way. That was excellent. And I echo those sentiments. I have to now give 2 losers because you went back-to-back and I didn't do that last round. The editors and production crew at ESPN and CBS who probably put together a dozen different TV packages for Michael Block that they had to throw in the trash right when he made quad bogey on his second hole on Thursday. Always tough when the hard work hits the cutting room floor. The block party is over, and I do have to credit a good friend of mine. He probably doesn't want his name on that take because he likes to play things above board and he works in the golf industry. But you know who you are, JK. You know you texted that to me. I love that take about all the editors and production crew who work extra hard on those Michael Block segments that never saw the light of the day. JK, thank you very much for that take.
JK, who was it? You can edit this out. Oh, okay.
But he's straight and narrow.
Yeah, he doesn't want to know.
Yeah, and works at the...
That's great.
That's a great take. My final big loser of the week, whoever is putting together the pairings and groupings for Tiger Woods at the majors. At the Masters, we saw him play with Jason Day and Max Homa. At the PGA Championship, we saw him play with Keegan Bradley and Adam Scott. Why? I don't need this, guys. I don't need this at this point in Tiger's career.
Phil Mickelson.
Guys, it's right there for you.
For an industry that thrives off low-hanging fruit.
Yep. It's right there for you.
Can you just fucking do it where it counts for once?
We want to see Tiger Woods play with Phil Mickelson
and
John Daly. If you're going to put out threesomes on Thursday and Friday,
Internet broken.
and John Daly and Phil Mickelson are in that field because they are past champions, and all three of these guys are on the wrong side of their careers.
Dude.
We need that. We need that so freaking bad. I don't need to see Tiger trying to keep up with Max. I don't need to see Tiger grinding it out with Keegan. I need to see Tiger Woods and Phil Mickelson and John Daly laughing, making side bets, really trying to outdo each other because no one wants to be the worst in that group. Give us that. It's right there in front of you. But why wouldn't the powers that be do that? Are they scared of Tiger? Are they scared to say, hey, Tiger, we put you with John Daly and Phil Mickelson?
They're 100% scared of
Exactly.
Tiger.
And so this is on Tiger Woods. Tiger, you need to go and tell the people that you want to play with Phil and John Daly. And guess what? Both Phil and John Daly, past champions at the British Open. There's a good chance those two will be there.
And you know who else would love it? Tiger's handlers. They're trying to sell shirts, and they're not doing a very good job right now.
I want to end on this. We got some reaction to our latest podcast episode. We didn't talk a lot of golf in our latest podcast episode. Before this one, we talked about Mother's Day, my disdain for Valentine's Day, Mother's Day, Hallmark holidays. I've been on record many times saying that I don't like Christmas either. I take my decorations down 6 in the morning on December 26th, and I call on everyone else to do the same. Got a comment on Spotify where Chris Valles said, Adam Hawk is either the biggest troll in the world or the grumpiest 36-year-old that's ever walked the face of the earth.
I think it could be a little blend.
Little blend.
Could be a nice little red blend. You know?
If you had to pick, am I a troll, which would mean that everything I'm doing is a bit, or am I just one hell of a grumpy 36-year-old?
I don't think it's fair to say everything you're doing is a bit. I think you have been forced a hand in life, in your profession, to have a little bit of a bit to everything. I wouldn't call you a full troll, and I wouldn't call you super grumpy. I just feel like in the name of somewhat of a bit, you choose these very strange hills to die on, and you're so good at articulating an argument from it. Like we were talking this weekend about soccer, and you're like, big soccer guy, big fan. And it's like, you're not. You're not a big fan, and that's okay, but you can't not say that. You have to take that stance. So I don't think it's as black and white, Chris. I think it's just a little bit of a blend.
I want to unpack this because I agree with a lot of what you just said, and I appreciate the compliment because there was a compliment in there.
Actually, that was all mostly a compliment.
And I thank you for it. Here's what's happening. I was raised by the Grinch. His name is John, my dad. And
no way. He ain't a Grinch.
My dad could not wait to take Christmas down as quick as possible. And he also is a very, very opinionated person. And he unabashedly thinks that he has the world figured out. And we all turn into a version of our dad. So I got a lot of my incredibly strong opinions and countercultural opinions from my dad. Then you throw in the fact that I have worked in radio and broadcasting for 15 years, and my profession by trade is writing and broadcasting. So I'm able to, as you put it, articulate these things in a high-level way where it comes off as if I think I'm the smartest person in the world with what I'm saying, and it kind of sounds like it too, even though what I'm saying is very extreme and I'm reaching a little bit to get a reaction. Here's the kicker. I am not, and I will admit, I'm not a funny person. Not a funny guy.
No, you're not.
No, I don't tell jokes. I don't write punchlines. I don't think of myself as the guy who walks in a room and cuts everyone up. That's just not me.
Your humor lies in making you, yourself, the joke by having these outlandish takes.
There's a little bit of that too, but there's also this very dry, serious, monotoned way in which I present the opinions, which I believe can come off as grumpy. Because my opinions don't end with a punchline. Yours do. You have very funny lines for what you're trying to say. And I would argue if anyone between us is more opinionated and more grumpy, it's you. But you do it with a jackass smile on your face and a cutting one-liner at the end that everyone's too busy laughing to realize that dude just ripped me to shreds. This guy hates everything. But I don't have the humor to pull that off. I just have the vocabulary, the articulation, the prose, the turn of phrase. And it's like, who does this guy think he is?
I don't think I am grumpier than you, though, to be honest.
I don't think either one of us are grumpy.
I don't think you're very grumpy, but I think you're just a little grumpier than me.
Okay, fine. You know what? I don't care. I'll take it because I'm not grumpy, and only a non-grumpy guy would say, yeah, label me grumpy. Listen, take for take, pound for pound, opinion for opinion. I've rarely, if ever, in my life met someone who has more takes and opinions than me until I met you. And what do you know? We work together and we have microphones in front of us.
And you love to hear it. You know, it's refreshing.
Yeah.
You know,
for us.
Yeah, for us. It's therapeutic. If I don't get all this shit out, if I keep it bottled up, that's when I become grumpy.
Here are the topics we couldn't get to today because the PGA Championship took over everything. But I promised them in a later episode. I really want to talk about the Tesla Cybertruck at some point.
Oh, my God.
Because now I'm seeing them out in the wild.
Yeah.
And I feel like I'm in the biggest douchebag movie of all time. What is that thing?
Dude!
What?
Look at my car!
It's like a trip seeing it. It's like a glitch in the Matrix.
If a truck could be a living meme,
it's
there you have
the
it.
Cybertruck. I also want to talk about guy that frequents a chain restaurant bar. We had this conversation in the boardroom, and we started talking about regulars at like Applebee's or Lazy Dog or Fridays, and you just know
Black Angus,
Stuart Anderson's Black Angus,
Chili's.
You just know that if you are a regular at a chain restaurant
Marie
bar,
Callender's,
your picture is on the 86 wall at many, many establishments.
Oh, yeah. You have not many places to go.
Right.
And every time a new shopping center goes up, you get real excited because you got a new bar to go to.
Let me ask you this. When is the last time you ever bellied up at a chain restaurant bar?
Not waiting for a table?
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Never.
Well, we used to years ago before they finally went out of business, which took them 20 years, which is crazy to even think. But our little town in San Juan, we have Swallows Day, the Swallows Day Parade. And it's like the return of the Swallows to San Juan Capistrano. Anyways, they close down the streets. It's this big party. There's vendors outside. All the bars are just going off. And it became funny when we were in our 20s for the younger group of kids. We would go because there was a Marie Callender's on the other side of the road. And it was always what a Marie Callender's is. Just weird oak decor and just lifeless in there, you know, slinging pies. But they always had this bar, you know, and the same thing. There were those people there, but it was always empty. So for Swallows Day towards the end, and it'd be whatever, we'd be like, let's go to Marie Callender's, get pina coladas, you know, and just bum them out by taking the dust off their fucking blender, you know?
Right.
Like,
right.
Can we get 18 pina coladas? Just guys just like, fuck my life, you know? And so anyways, we would go to Marie Callender's for that, but it was in jest. It was like as a joke.
And you're not a regular. You're not going. You're not going once a week.
No. But so I have been, but it was as a joke, which just proves your point that it is a joke.
Unfortunately, not a joke for some people.
Yeah.
The third and final topic that I wanted to get to today, and maybe we'll get to it in depth coming up, is McDonald's, or as my daughter calls it, MacDon's, or as I call it, Whack Arnold's.
Or as Tommy Deliscu calls it, McRondogs.
Which you love to hear.
Yeah.
They just announced that they are getting rid of the self-serve soft drink machine.
Ooh.
The one that customers can get up from their table and go refill their drinks at. And why are they doing that? McDonald's is getting rid of free refills. Sounds like a big deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Here's why it's not to me. Similar to the guy going into the chain restaurant bar.
Yeah.
Something I've never done. I've never gone into a Whack Arnold's. There are two types of people who frequent Whack Arnold's. There's the drive-through where you see Lexus, Tesla, Mercedes, every rich person going through and getting their food handed to them out the window of the back of the building.
Don't look me in the eyes.
Right. It's a shameful get in, get out kind of thing. And then there's the people inside of Whack Arnold's. Now, I've been in there to use the bathroom because who hasn't? And when you look inside at the people sitting,
sad world.
It's the saddest thing. And here's why I don't care about them getting rid of free refills. Never once in my life have I been into McDonald's to get a free refill. I get the drink out the window and I'm gone.
Yeah.
It's a one-drink situation. Well, thank you so much for listening. We appreciate it.
You want filet of fishes today?
I don't know if you can make the word fish plural.
Filet of fish is today?
Thank you so much for listening. We will catch you next Monday.